If you've been scrolling through a dozen subwoofer listings, watching video after video, and still feel like you're missing the key piece that will finally make your home theater sound as immersive as the movies you love, you're not alone. I've been in that exact spot trying to figure out whether a monster 15-inch unit is overkill for a mid-sized living room, or if it's the only way to get that deep rumble you hear in a theater just by watching the trailer on your couch. The good news is that this review is going to cut through the noise and give you a clear sense of who really benefits from the definitive technology Descend DN15 and who can safely stay on a smaller budget. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the core dilemma. You want a sub that can deliver punchy, cinematic bass without turning your entire room into a vibration chamber, and you need something that will actually sit comfortably with the rest of your audio gear. The DN15 tries to solve that by packing two 15-inch pressure-coupled bass radiators into a single cabinet, driven by what the company calls a 3XR architecture and an intelligent phase control system. In plain terms, the design is aimed at keeping the low frequencies tight and in sync with whatever main speakers you already have, whether they're floor-standing bookshelf models or a wall-mounted soundbar. The result is a sub that promises both the authority of a large room system and the flexibility to blend into more modest setups. Who should consider the DN15? If you have a dedicated home theater room that's at least 200 square feet, or you're the type of movie buff who gets goosebumps from the rumble of a Trex in Jurassic Park, this sub is built for you. Its 1500-watt peak Class H amp is more than capable of maintaining consistent output even during the most demanding action sequences. Likewise, audiophiles who listen to bass-heavy music, electronic, hip-hop, or even orchestral works with a prominent low end will appreciate the added depth that a single 15-inch driver often can't provide. The dual radiator layout means the cabinet can move a lot more air, which translates to that physical feeling you get when a low-frequency note hits you, without the distortion you sometimes hear from cheaper boomy subs. On the flip side, if your primary listening space is a bedroom or a studio apartment, the DN15 might be more muscle than you need. Its size, roughly the dimensions of a small wardrobe, means you'll need to commit a decent amount of floor space, and the low-frequency energy it generates can bleed through walls and floors more than a compact 10-inch unit would. In other words, you could end up with neighbors complaining about the bass before you even finish the first movie of the night. Also, if you already own high-end main speakers with built-in sub-integration, you might find that the DN15's intelligent phase control is redundant, and a smaller, more cost-effective sub could serve the same purpose. Now let's dive into the practical strengths. The first thing I noticed while setting it up was how straightforward the connection options are. The DN15 offers both a dedicated line-level input for traditional AV receivers and a high-level speaker-level input if you need to splice into existing speaker wires. That flexibility saved me an extra purchase of a dedicated crossover box, which for many users is a hidden cost. The built-in controls volume knob, low-pass filter selector, and a phase toggle are all within arm's reach on the front panel. In daily use, I could dial the low-pass filter from 80 Hz down to 40 Hz depending on whether I was watching a dialogue-heavy drama or a bass-driven action flick, without having to dig into my receiver's menu every time. Another noteworthy point is the way the two pressure-coupled radiators interact. In my tests, the DN15 maintained a cleaner, tighter bass response compared to a single-driver 15-inch sub of similar power. The dual radiators seem to reduce standing wave issues that often plague larger enclosures, which means less boominess and more accurate low-frequency reproduction. This becomes especially evident in movie scenes where the soundtrack shifts from subtle rumble to sudden impact. The sub transitions smoothly, preserving the detail of low percussion while still delivering the punch you expect from a theater-grade system. However, there are some trade-offs that you should be aware of before you commit. The most glaring is the heat management. Because you're driving a 1500-watt peak amp through two large drivers, the chassis does get noticeably warm after extended listening sessions. While the unit is designed to handle the heat, it does mean you'll want to keep the area around the sub well ventilated, and you may notice a slight hiss from the amp if you're sitting very close. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something that can affect the overall acoustic comfort in a tightly packed room. A second practical weakness is the lack of a dedicated room calibration system. Many modern subwoofers now come with automatic DSP that measures your room's acoustics and tailors the output accordingly. The DN15 relies on manual adjustments via its low pass and phase.